All right, grade 3. So this is the Bible we read from a few weeks ago. We were talking about the miracles of Jesus. This story here was Jesus and his disciples and how Jesus was catching people's attention by performing his miracles. In this one, they talked about how he was able to help the disciples catch fish. And then we read about Jesus feeding the 5,000 and how he was able to just hold that bread and those fish up in the air. And every time he spoke a prayer to God, more fish and more bread appeared. And he was able to feed over 5,000 people with just a few loaves of bread and a few fish. Today, I would love to read to you, Jesus walks on water. So it goes like this. Do you know anyone who can walk on water? Jesus could. This is the story of how he did it. Late one day, Jesus told his disciples to take a boat out across Lake Galilee. The men crowded into the boat. Jesus stood on the shore to see them off. Go on ahead, he said. I'll meet you on the other side of the lake. When everyone had gone, Jesus climbed a hill to find a quiet place to pray to God on his own. He stayed there a long time. It had been a busy day, and he had a lot to say to God. Meanwhile, out on the lake, a storm was beginning. Night had fallen, and it was very dark. The waves that had gently lapped against the side of the boat now crashed against it. The men in the boat were starting to get frightened. It was difficult to control the boat. But wait, what's this coming toward them across the roaring waves? The disciples in the boat rubbed their eyes. They could not believe it. They called to one another, and everyone came to the side to look. Jesus is coming, they shouted, and he's walking on the water. Then they started to get really frightened. What if he's a ghost, they said, their knees shaking with fear. Don't be afraid, a voice called from across the water. It's me, Jesus. If it is really you, Peter replied, then let me come to you on the water. Come, Jesus said. So Peter climbed out over the side of the boat and stepped carefully onto the water. The dark black water took his weight. He could hardly believe it. Carefully, he took a step, then another. Then he started walking towards Jesus. I can walk on water too, Peter thought. But then a gust of wind and a crashing wave made him look away from Jesus. Suddenly, he was afraid. It was then that he began to sink. Help, Lord, save me, Peter cried out. Jesus stretched out his arm and Peter caught hold of his hand. Why did you get scared? Jesus said. Soon, both men were safely in the boat. Everyone looked up. The wind had died away and the lake was calm. All the disciples turned to Jesus and worshiped him.